Hello, this video will be a recap of a tournament game of Tumbleweed I played today. Tumbleweed is a modern abstract strategy game, which I can totally recommend getting into for anyone into Go. It has super simple rules and very interesting strategy and tactics, just like Go. I will try to keep the video sort of beginner friendly, but if you haven't heard of Tumbleweed at all before, I recommend checking out the quick rules video that I linked in the description. Okay, so this tournament is the first Tumbleweed Championship. It's a 8-player round robin, and this game I'm going to show you is the one I played in the 4th round today. And my opponent, Komacchin, is a top player in many abstract strategy games, so I knew going in that this would be a tough match. Last time we met in a tournament, I lost on, I think that was on side 6 in the MSO Tumbleweed tournament. So yeah, it's sure to be an exciting game. I won't spoil the result yet. Let's get into it. The time settings are 30 minutes plus 30 seconds. So for most of these games, that means they take about 2 hours in total. So for the pie, komacchin chose this one. He was the host this game. I need to choose if I want to play first with red or second with white. And sort of the most common pie we've seen so far is the so-called orthodox pie, which is quite similar to the one he chose in the game. The difference is that in this one, it's like common to both these is the idea that red is placed sort of as poorly as possible, and white is placed as well as possible in terms of seeing how much of the board they see. But the difference here is that in this pie, red can immediately jump up to a very central location and get many new lines of sight. So if we turn out on the influence visualization here, we can see that right now red is very limited, but when red jumps up this high, red suddenly gains many new lines of sight. And in this variation of the pie, this move is not really available because white can immediately attack and capture this one here. So I believe this one to be about equal in terms of, red's first player advantage is made up for the horrible position of the red stack. And this one is probably slightly better for red. So I thought for a few minutes after he put this pie, and I actually decided to play white anyways in the end. I generally like playing white. I've had some good results in the earlier rounds, just going for a very, central influence strategy. So I figured I could probably manage this position, even though red is slightly better. But yeah, we'll see what happens. So he does immediately play here, and I didn't have like a specific plan for the follow-up. So let's see here. You might like to go. I've tried similar things to this on smaller sizes of boards, and going immediately for a 2-stack on f9. But of course red can immediately like cut this off, and this 1-stack will be a little bit weak. So in this game I tried for a similar idea, starting at j5, aiming for f5 next, and then this stack will be a little bit stronger since it will be a 2-stack. So that was the idea. He also goes for a 2-stack down here. I'm generally a bit reluctant to play moves along the edge. Early on it feels a bit slow, but red is sort of forced by this a8 stack to make use of it, make use of the first line. So red is basically expanding on the left half of the board while I'm expanding on the right half up here. So now I'm aiming at f9, and red actually immediately blocks me making a 2 here. Let's say red expands here, white could make a 2. So he doesn't want that to happen, so he plays here. So now I don't have this 2 available, but I did make him play a sort of passive move here. So I think this result so far is fine for both sides. You can see that we're dividing the board pretty evenly. With this last move, again, I want to sort of go in this direction, but if I immediately go here, I can come under attack. So I'm thinking I will take a bit more slow and steady approach, and I can make a 2-stack here next in the future. I sort of regretted this move though after he placed this 2 here. So now I don't really want to jump in here anymore because he can cut like this and my 1 is weak. So I ended up playing a very defensive move here. Like if I don't play anything, again I can come under attack. And it's a bit uncomfortable. So I played this move to strengthen this one. Of course I try to have some different aims with this move as well. I'm putting a line of sight on the neutral in case I want to capture that in the future. I'm one step closer. I also think, like if we imagine like red will get everything, this entire half of the board and me getting this entire half of the board, it's quite important like who gets this line, right? So it seems like it's quite often useful to have something along this line. Now I suddenly have a majority on almost all of these cells here. So I sort of hope that this move will be useful eventually, even though it looks a bit small compared to the other very big expanding moves. He immediately blocks me from coming in. He seems to be very focused on just closing off all lines of sight into his area, which makes sense. Like for instance, before, I was aiming at making something like this, a 2 here, so he prevents that. And I'm a bit concerned now about this 1 here. I don't really want to give this up. Like I could just treat this lightly, play some big move elsewhere, and let him capture this. But the second this gets captured, this is under attack again. Now this one is falling. So I would prefer not to give it up, basically. So I tried to look for a good move to save it. I was thinking about this one. But in this case, this seemed a bit uncomfortable to me. Either I'm playing something very passive inside at a third line of sight, or if I play like this 2 is falling. So I ended up going with this move. And I said before I don't like playing on the first line, so I was not super happy with this one. What it's doing is that, so by adding a line of sight to this one, now if red attacks it, I can defend perhaps like this. So now this is indirectly defended. Red can't capture with a 2 because I would recapture with a 3. And also this move on the first line, it's increasing my control over this part. It's setting up something along a 2 stack here or here in the future, like this one or this one. So it does have some good sides, but it feels a bit slow at this stage of the game. So I'm not, I still think the game is even, but I'm feeling a bit, I don't feel like super confident coming out of this opening. So what's next? I think you play this 2 here. And at this point, I could just continue to close off. Maybe this is good for me, maybe not, I'm not sure, it's hard to tell. I'm not good enough at counting. Again, we're dividing the board very evenly. So I felt I don't want to gamble the game on... I felt more confident starting more complications and hoping that I will be able to sort of outplay him in the complications. This turned out to be a bad idea, it seems like, but for now, this was my plan. So I played a sort of invading move here. There is this line between a2 and g8, which of course I can't play on this line right now to cut him off, but by preparing here, I'm setting up for next move to be able to play there. So there are 2 things he can do to prevent that. He can either play a 2 here immediately, but in that case I would get to attack it like this, putting 3 lines on it. He may defend somehow, I get to attack it again. This is sort of a pinwheel formation. This technique is sometimes called. And I imagine this would be a decent result for me, somehow. I'm not quite sure, like I didn't read out too much, I just felt I can probably handle this one. I was slightly more worried about him just adding a third line of sight like this. Again, then I imagine I can't play here immediately, but I could play something like this, setting up a 3 here, and I thought just getting this cut in would feel pretty good. Being able to cut like this, I feel like red is maybe slightly behind, but I was sort of wanting to get into some complicated fight and get a good result. So what actually he played was neither of those. He played this one, which again seems to be focused on, sort of on the defensive, covering this all my lines inside his territory. So he was probably more focused on if he plays like here. He was worried about me placing a 2 here perhaps. So we had some different priorities in a position. This one, of course, also makes my one stack a bit weaker. So there are several good things about this move. But now I felt inclined to immediately cut here since it didn't prevent me. I also considered placing, making 3 lines here. In that case, I was a bit concerned about this one becoming weak somehow. Don't remember exactly. But there were some annoying variations here. Maybe just like this. Just seemed a bit annoying. So I ended up going for this too. I guess I have similar problems maybe, but now I have this too. Well, this is what I went for. The drawback here is that he has some good attacks on this too. He doesn't play them right away. Instead he jumps to this place here. So this stage I was a bit unsure. He's threatening a cut here, which would be super annoying. But when I respond to that, he's establishing quite a bit of presence along the top. And he's very solid down here. So I felt, probably a little bit behind at this stage of the game. Then he plays here. And this, I was kind of happy to see this move. I thought, oh, but isn't this good for me? Because I just play here. And this one is captured. There's no way to save it. And also with this move here, this seems like a useful move because it's actually protecting in this direction, right? Before red could play here. And of course, this is not immediately working, but there was this sort of line inside. Red has lots of options. So I felt like closing off like this was good for me. So I thought this was just a mistake at first, but it turns out there was quite a good reason to play this move. There's a great follow-up. But for now I was feeling confident. I was feeling, okay, now this is maybe good for me. Then he plays here. And this is attacking my one here. This is kind of, I can't ignore that. Like if I capture here, captures this is just terrible. I'm falling apart. I need to defend. But at this stage, I'm suddenly seeing the threat. Like if I just respond somehow with a shield, he has a double attack here, which is devastating. Like I capture here, he captures here. This is horrible. I defend this one, he captures here. That's also horrible. So here I thought for a long time how to handle this. I ended up settling on, if I defend like this, when he plays here, I have to capture here, and then I can afford to give this up. Was my thinking, that I at least have a 3 stack here, and I can defend like this. And I thought, I can hold together like this. It's a bad result for me, but it's not game over. So that was my plan, making this 3 stack here to prepare for this 1 stack being captured pretty soon. But then he didn't go for this at all. He went for something even better, probably. He went for this 2 here, setting up a new line, while also attacking this 2. So, like, again, it really felt like I maybe needed to play something like this, but giving this up just seemed too big. It seems like red is easily ahead at this point. So, I felt I just need to respond up here. Ended up going with this one to protect. But this is pretty passive. I'm just responding, protecting this 2. And then he gets this devastating double attack, which I did not see coming. Now both this J5 and this J9 are like way too big to give up, and I can't save both. This is horrible. This is like, misreading a ladder early in a Go game or something. This is devastating. So I actually ended up, let's look at the 2 options. Like if I capture here and he captures here, this seems terrible because he has a double attack again. 2 stacks I don't want to give up. If I defend somehow here, not sure how should I do that. Let's just make some random move. And he captures here. Now this 2 stack is super weak. That again seems literally unplayable. So I ended up just ignoring both of them. And instead I just played this wedge. So before, when I played this 3, that also had a goal of wedging here, which is putting some weaknesses into red's shape. And I had a plan with this, which is that basically when he captures here, first of all, this 1 stack is not as important to save if I'm stronger here, so I can more easily give this up. But also, if I already had this capture in, so let's say he doesn't do this immediately, let's say he does something else first, like this capture. Now if I capture here, then when he captures here, I can defend this 2 efficiently by capturing this 3. So I felt there was some connection like between this move and the attack in the center. But basically at this point I feel like the game is very bad for me, and I'm just looking to complicate it to stay in the game. So I don't want to sort of go for an immediate simplifying trade, right? I could just play out the trade, but it feels better to leave the tension on the board. And hope that he makes a mistake, basically, misses some of my threats. Okay, so he ended up playing this move. This is maybe a little bit slow, because now I get to capture here, and I immediately do have this threat. So yeah, now if he captures here, I have this capture, and I'm happy. So that's a little step in the right direction for me. I think that's what we did. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. He captured, I captured. Then he went for this capture. So, you know, I give up a lot up here, but also white, the previously solid red area here is now a lot weaker. I have some ways inside. The stacks along the edge are a bit weak. The center has some weaknesses. I can maybe capture neutral in the future. So I thought I still have fighting chances. I didn't want to give up this 2 entirely, so I immediately went for this move. This again, maybe not a great move. I realized that he has this double attack, which would have been a bit unpleasant. My plan in this case, I think, would have to be, I can't really afford to give up this 2, I believe. I think I would go for this one, let him capture back here, and maybe the neutral is useful enough to make up for it. But I think this again looks like a difficult game for me. But he didn't go for that one. Instead, he played this capture. So saving this one indirectly. Because this was under attack, so I think he again thinks I might have played here too, because it seems like, you know, saving a step while capturing is quite efficient. Even though he has weaknesses here, like I could capture this 2 back pretty soon, or I could capture this 1 back. It's sort of just scattering some stacks which will be useful. Even if they die in the future, they are useful for adding lines of sight. Okay, I played this one. Why did I do this? I think, so there is this double attack here that I'm still worried about, that he didn't play. So my last move here is indirectly defending that. Now I'm adding 3 lines to this point. So that was the main reason for that move. He played here, which is preventing me from capturing the neutral. And I renewed the threat on a neutral while also threatening d7, which would be a big capture. He saves d7 while also attacking this one. This one was a bit annoying. I thought I would get this one sort of in center, he would respond, and then I could capture neutral. But he defends like this, and now, again, this 2 is kind of too big to give up, so I needed to find a response. I played this one. I'm not sure this move is doing much. It's not adding many new lines of sight, but it is strengthening a little bit my, you know, this b3 and this one. If I need to reinforce one of those in the future, this could help. So it's not entirely useless, but it doesn't feel great to play this move. Okay, he again doesn't want me to capture neutral, so we have had a little bit of a battle back and forth here. Me trying to renew the threat on the neutral, and him constantly cutting me off. But now finally, when I had this 3rd line of sight, now there's no way for him to prevent it anymore. On the next move, I will be able to capture neutral if I want to. Place this 2 here, probably trying to solidify this area down here. Also adding a line here. And I'm not sure if there's like a concrete tactical reason behind this move, or if it's just a general big point with many, you know, a lot of influence along these empty lines here. So it seems like a big move, and I did go for the neutral immediately. I figured the neutral is pretty good because, actually, I set this up, when I played here, I figured this is a good idea because I'm both, like compared to playing here, the point of this move is that once I capture neutral, which could feel a little bit slow otherwise, but now when I capture neutral, it comes with tempo against this 2 because of this 2 here. So that was my plan. Here I think he missed based on, like he played this move first, which seems like it's kind of helping against this threat, but not like I could capture right now, but then he would capture here. So I defended first, but then he played away, and I think he just missed this capture entirely. sort of thought that this would reinforce that. He said after the game that he had missed this, so I believe this is something like this happened. But I don't think it's like a terrible mistake to miss it right now. It's not, you know, missing this is not as big as some of the earlier captures. Like red still has some good things happening in the area, so it's not like everything is just dying immediately when I capture here. So I didn't go for the capture immediately. Instead, I defended over here. So like his last move set up some new lines on like b4. Let's say I capture, let's say he plays here. This seemed like kind of a big move. I guess I have this, and yeah, I'm not sure if this move is really necessary, but I thought, you know, I'm threatening this one, so he's probably going to respond, and he did. And then I came back for the capture. So this capture feels good because it also has a follow-up capture here. I'm hoping now to get a lot of this as my territory, hopefully. But you can see how complicated the game became. Maybe we should like turn off the influence because it's getting a bit messy. I'm not sure which view is more useful. Basically, early on in the game, we had a very peaceful division of the board, but then I was forced into starting complication after he found this very nice double attack. And at this point, it's very hard to tell like if this part down here is going to be like, if you look at the influence, it's like lots of red, lots of white. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm hoping, yeah, to be able to capture lots of these stacks, but it's not easy to tell if it's going to work out. So we have an exciting game, basically. He defended this tool like this. I went for this. This looks kind of small, like wedging in here, but I'm setting up an attack on this one and also on this two here. So I'm hoping to gradually sort of break down his walls. He defended with a 5 stack. That's a bit unusual to see a stack this high early on. It just happens to be a 5 stack. And then instead of going immediately for just this 2, I wanted to go a little bit deeper. So I went here threatening the 2 and hoping that if he defends, what was my plan? Like this, for instance. No, wait, I think I had, like if he defends like this, then I have this double attack. So I thought I would get this, threatening b6 and this one, j10. But of course he saw that coming, so he plays here, which nicely defends both threats. So then that plan is no longer working. But I do get to, I can capture here, which is forcing, like he has to capture here. And then after that capture, when I play this 2, now this 2 here is under attack. So I still felt I'm getting something here, but he's sort of holding together. He played this 3, I capture, and like this, he's recapturing this 2, so you can see he's keeping most of his territory. I just got this one capture here. Went for this one, capture, and here, I believe. Oh no, not there. Okay, I was going to play here first, but then I thought I can just throw a quick forcing move in here. This is threatening this 2 up here, and I figured he would just respond. I'm not sure this is actually doing anything at all. I just wanted to do it like to be annoying. Maybe it's useful, but it's definitely not hurting me to have that there. At least that was my feeling. But actually he sort of decided that it's bigger to just, let's see, yeah, he just played here, prevented me from getting this move, and let me capture here. So it's very hard to know which one of those was bigger. I have no idea, basically. But I get to capture up there. He captures here. And now I have this capture, but I don't need to do it right away. I can get this later. Instead, I spent a move here. So this is also setting up, now I'm capturing this one, and I'm limiting his lines of sight into this area, so like blocking this line from this 2 inside here. And he just captured down here. This is maybe a little bit slow. I'm not sure this was really necessary. So I'm slowly sort of coming back in the game here, I think. There have been like 1 or 2 slow moves from red. This one, now I'm aiming here for like f1 or h3, attacking this 2 stack. He can defend it like this, which is a little bit annoying that this 2 is under attack. But I have this move, which is kind of nice, both defending the 2 and attacking this 2 down here. Which I'm already kind of counting on, like I want this to just sort of die on its own without me spending too much time, but it always feels good to make it one step closer to that, you know? So he comes back and defends this weakness here. If he doesn't play anything, let's play elsewhere, then I can go in here and just wreck his wall, just falling apart. So yeah, he needs to add a move, which he does. I capture here. This is setting up some nasty, like a 2-stack on H2 would be pretty devastating. So he has to respond again. And I just capture here. Again, like this 2 is probably not going to live anyways, but by capturing it, you know, now I'm setting up a capture here and a capture here. I want to ideally get a lot of points down in lower right here, use his weaknesses. So I'm trying to just sort of chip away at the edges, like this 1 is weak, this 2 is weak, and this looks pretty strong at the moment, but hopefully I can, yeah, capture these weak ones and get some points. Let's see, he played this 2, I captured here. Played this 2. This again feels a little bit slow to me, but actually this has a quite concrete goal. There are some new lines opening up inside here, which turned out to be quite useful in the game. So there are some points to this move. Now I finally went for this 2 here. This is kind of big, because like if he gets to close off here, imagine this would be the move, something like this. Now, like eventually this 3 will be falling. Let's just say like this. This 3 will be falling, and once this 3 falls, this 3 might also fall if I don't spend a move like capturing here and so on. So, I guess, why did I play here? I guess this is the move, like he should play this first, forcing me to respond. Anyways, like if he plays, oops. Yeah, there's some big differences happening in this area. So when he played, let's see, this one, I was quite happy to get this point. Plays this 3, forces me to capture, okay. Right now I'm threatening this 2, so he captures here. So I'm giving up a little bit in the center, but now I'm very solid here. This will be completely alive now. Capture here. I don't remember much. I have to double check the moves every move here, because I was probably in time trouble at this point. I used so much time in the opening, especially after that capture I missed, double attack I missed. So now he goes inside here. And this is actually kind of annoying. I ended up playing here. I figured, oh, this is just a bad invasion, like he's hurting his outside and he's not gaining anything inside. But then I realized this move is actually a 3, and what's worse, it's coming with an attack on this one. So let's say I respond to that. I'm not sure I have to, but let's say I do. Then this is already like alive. You know, even if I play like here, there's nothing I can do to this group. So this is just 6 points, easily alive. That's pretty big. So I think he should have done that. But he actually responded here instead, reinforcing the upper right, which is also worth a few points, but probably not as big as C2. So I, of course, take away the option to play C2, because I saw that now. I don't want to allow that. And when he... So that's why I, like with this move, instead of just capturing here, may look more natural, but then he still has C2. So I need to block the line of sight. This gives him the chance to save this 2, actually. And now it's kind of big for me to capture here, because if I don't, and he gets to save this 2 by playing a 3 here, then this 3 will eventually fall. So this is like a 3-point Gotha, which seemed kind of big at this stage of the game. I guess it's not super big. But like 3 points gained for me and lost for him. It's hard to tell if that's bigger than anything going on down here. Okay, he played a capture here. Again, I don't think this move was necessary. I don't think I have a concrete threat here. For instance, if I play a 3 here, that's not going to survive very long. Maybe he was worried about me playing a 2 down here. But yeah, I don't think this is the biggest move. I still have a 2 down here. What am I saying? This was actually, that was not helping at all. Yeah, so I think this was not necessary. Let's see, so this one. So now I want to go after, now I have quite a lot of influence down here. I want to secure as many points as I can, and I set up a while ago with some of these captures this wedge here. So now it's actually quite hard for red to stay connected, this group. Like red can reinforce this 2 to a 3, but then I can cut, and the 3 is falling, this 3 is also falling eventually. And if red tries to connect, I capture, this 3 is again falling. So this is kind of cutting red off here. Red defense up here, which is pretty big. If I capture, the 2 is falling, so that's worth a few points. I played this one. This one is making better endgame for me down here, but most importantly, taking better control over this area. It's very hard for me to read some specific sequences about how red will live inside here, but I just try to sort of add as many lines as I can to sort of gradually increase my control of the area. So this move felt like a good way to do that. I could also just play some capture. That would be a reasonable thing to do. Just taking stones off the board, even though they are sure to be dead, it can be a good idea to capture them to remove their influence. I tried this sort of dual purpose move. Red plays d3. This doesn't alarm me too much because this 3 will still fall eventually. So this is basically only temporarily saving j5 so that it has time to capture k5, right? Right now if red goes for k5, I just capture. So by playing here, red is gaining some time, and I'll be able to capture like this and save j5. So I just ignore that move and I play up here. At this point I'm feeling pretty confident about the game after getting this k10 cut. I think I'm going to get most of these points over here, and then I should be ahead quite easily. But there are still some worrying things happening now. I shouldn't have played this a3 move. I should have added another move somewhere here to take complete control, to keep it simple. I thought red didn't have anything, and maybe red doesn't, but I still managed to give a chance here. So I played a3, red played here. I ended up going for this capture, and red played here. We're both kind of in semi-time trouble. I was down on my last 30 seconds for a while, but then I gained some more time. It's Fisher time plus 30 seconds per move. At this point he was down on like his last 30 seconds basically every move, so he was probably in more time trouble than me. And I think if he had some more time, maybe at this point he would have played this move, which threatens my 2 here. And if I defend it, he can do this, threatening this 2. If I defend that, he can connect up like this. And this is just like horrible. Like probably I will be able to capture this 2. But basically, even though, let's just play some random stuff. When I capture this, like he just gets into the corner. So he gets to connect all the way into the corner like this. So that's quite a big endgame gain. Maybe there's also some other stuff here I missed, but basically I think this move would have been very good. But I played this one, which does like gain a few points here, but doesn't like get all the way into the corner, because now when I play here, now this 2 will always die in the end. Like eventually I will play here and I will capture this 2 and also this 2 probably. Okay, so he captures here. This comes with tempo against this one, so I capture here, and now we can see that this is very solid white territory. So now it's sort of crisis averted. I think white again has a good lead here. Let's play out the last few moves. Play this 2. Play this 2, securing these points. This 3 seems a bit unnecessary. I don't think this move gains anything. So I got to capture this 2 up here, which as a bonus gives me this 3. So that's a 2-point move. He stays connected with some stuff in the center. But when I play here, it's quite clear that, yeah, this 2 and this 3, both of these are going to die. The 5 is going to survive, of course, but all of this other stacks will die. Just cleaning up the last few moves. Here, here, here. And I played here, and at this point he actually resigned. But if we were going to play out the last few moves, we could basically say that, like, even if red reinforces here, once I capture here, and here, and here, we see that only the 5 is surviving, and these isolated red stacks are also will also be dead. So the final score here would be, say, 101 points to 68. So it's quite a comfortable lead, actually. So it went from, there were a few like slow moves in the endgame, but basically, yeah, I feel like from this point earlier on, let's go like all the way back. I don't have a undo many moves button, unfortunately. Let's go back in slow motion. To the sort of decisive mistake I made early on. I feel like after this point, I felt like I was clawing my way back into the game, and you know, luckily I was able to you know, create some weaknesses, and he made a couple of slow moves in the end game. But it's basically a very difficult game from this point, and it was very exciting. Yeah, so I hope you liked the game. Hope you found Tumbleweed interesting if it was your first time watching a game of Tumbleweed. Yeah, thank you for watching. You can check out the link in the description if you want to the Tumbleweed Discord, if you want to find other people to play Tumbleweed with. It's pretty soon coming to Board Game Arena, so there will be some more places to play this wonderful game. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.